All right, we're here with the great Oscar-nominated Millard Thomas. Wait, you were nominated for which one? You were on for The Hurt Locker, I think, Best Supporting
Oh,
Actor. I may,
oh,
I may have to, I may have to look that up. I may have my facts wrong on that, but it was a good movie though. If you haven't seen it,
no, I haven't,
um,
unfortunately.
it's came
Mm,
out in 2010 about a guy in the Iraq War whose job it was Jeremy Renner, who played Hawkeye,
okay. Yeah.
uh, plays a bomb diffuser in the Iraq War, and it's kind of tense.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind
don't
of
think
tense.
I wanna be a war character. I'd rather be like Willie Beeman in Any Given Sunday. I'd rather
All
play a
right,
character like
now
that, a
you're
little bit
talking.
more upbeat, you know?
By the way, the Jeremy Renner in the Hurt Locker, when that won Best Picture, that's the answer to a trivia question, which is, what's the first film to win Best Director that was directed by a woman? It was Catherine Bigelow, director of The Hurt Locker,
Mm.
which is a kind of a very tense uh, war movie from the Iraq War.
Are
Catherine
we
Bigelow.
are we bringing back Locked On MLB trivia soon?
We'll
I
bring
saw
it
a
back.
rumor. I saw a
Bring
rumor
it
in the
back.
chat.
Bring it back. Well, yeah, I got a bunch of things for that. But and by the way, thanks for making Locked On MLB your first listen. Obviously, make Locked On Diamondbacks your second listen. Check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball for your third listen. You can win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. Find Locked On Fantasy Baseball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Hey, Miller Thomas, let me just on the final segment here tell you philosophically why I'm enjoying this.
Okay.
Um, the Padres. Now, they haven't won the World Series yet. Hell, they haven't gotten to the World Series since 1998. But they are putting together a superstar team.
Love
Some of
it.
the players are homegrown. Some of their players were acquired. But um, uh, either way, they have, with the signings of Bogarts, the signing of Machado, the signing of Tatis Jr. Looks like Hader's going to be around for a while. They want to lock up Soto for the long term.
Darvish.
They Darvish. They have put together a team where San Diego fans at least know the team is saying, hey, we're not New York, we're not Chicago, we're not Boston, we're not San Francisco, but we're going for it, and we're going for the next few years. So climb on board. One of these years, it's all going to click together, and you're going to love it. Arizona seems to be taking a little bit of that lesson to heart, that they're telling their fans, hey, we're going to keep our good players. And you know what? We're not saying we're going to win it every year. But one of these years, like an eclipse, everything will line up, kind of like how it eventually did for Washington, like how it did for Atlanta. And one of those years, if you stick with us, a player you will recognize, kind of like when Freddie Freeman was jumping up and winning, or kind of like when Steven Strasburg won the World Series MVP for Washington, someone you'll recognize is going to win. We're going to win a World Series title. So climb on board, and we're going to keep our good players. And we'll, basically, if we want to have a good product on the field, we're going to have to spend some money.
Mm-hmm.
So we may spend some money earlier. Let's start putting this team together. And instead of being, oh, let's cut every corner, and oh, we can't do that. It's poor Diamondbacks. We can't do anything. Cupping out clip-on, coupons there. Like, oh, we're going to go to Ralph's. No, they're saying we're going to try to put a product on the field. And the Diamondbacks, I think, are learning the San Diego lesson, because there was a thing I saw on Twitter, which was the Padres have to deal with the fact that their season ticket requests are going off the charts right now. They're selling tickets like crazy. San Diego's like, we're in, show us. And guess what? There's going to be, if they do this right, the park in Phoenix, which I almost called the Bob, is going to be so filled. There's going to be the swimming pool will be packed. So I want to see more teams take this mindset of, okay, if we're going to be good, let's keep our good players. Let's put a product on the field. It's entertainment. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's summer entertainment. Like Jaws, like Star Wars was when I was a kid. Also baseball. And it's the perfect sport for the internet age. Get those stars on there. Don't have an antagonistic relationship with them, and keep them together so the fans can get to know them. So good on the Diamondbacks for at least taking the steps of putting a good, fun product on the field and telling their fans, guess what, folks? You can buy those uniforms. We're not gonna. You don't have to burn them anytime soon. This guy's not going to be traded to St. Louis anytime soon.
Yeah, and for the quote unquote small market teams, this is the way to circumvent the idea of we have Manny Machado here for all these years. He's gone through the arbitration process, but now it's like, do we want to pay this guy $300 million? Can we afford that? Guess what? You pay that guy $150 million 8 years earlier, and then you don't have to worry about that, and you still get all the prime years. That's what the D-backs are doing here. If you want to compete with the Padres of the world, you're going to need star talent, and the way to get that is for the D-backs is through homegrown, through the system, and if you want to keep those players, because the D-backs are kind of showed you, they're not going to go out there and keep the guys like Paul Goldschmidt, right? He was a homegrown player. He was an MVP. He was a MVP-type player, face of the franchise, but they let his contract get way too far down the line, and they weren't going to pay him the exorbitant money that he was owed and what he was worth. And he was a guy going to enter his early 30s, and the D-backs didn't want to pay him that amount of money for a team that they felt like wasn't going to win a World Series in the near future. But when you look at the way the D-backs are building it now, you're going to get your all-star level players. You know, it's a little bit of a risk because you're betting on these guys way early. But if these guys hit, then you're getting all these guys for super value contracts. And that's the way you keep the talent in the building. You're paying them under 20 million, 15, 16 to get that all-star level player in the building, keeping him long-term. But also not breaking the bank at the same time, because we know teams like the D-backs are going to make the claims that they're poor and they don't have the money and they can't go out there and spend like the Padres and the Dodgers of the world. They're not going to drop the bags on these $25 to $30 million players. So it's easier for them when they think they have one of those players in the building before they even pop. When they have that little diamond in the rough, they just see the little shine of the diamond. They haven't even dug it out the mine yet. They haven't even done the digging yet. They haven't done the polishing yet. Yeah, they haven't blown it off yet. While it's still just a little flash of diamond, they said, you know what? We know this diamond is going to be worth $30 million, so let's pay him $15 million right now for a long-term deal and lock him up so we don't have to deal with it, down the road, because we've seen other teams do this. The White Sox locked up Eloy Jimenez and Luis Roberts to really cheap deals early. The Braves have been doing it with the Ronald Acuna of the world.
Braves do it better than anybody.
Yeah.
Braves have the formula down. The Braves are going to be really good for the rest of this decade, and there's going to be a lot of people you recognize on that squad, and they'll probably win another pennant along the way.
So I think that's the model of what the D-backs are going off of. You look at the Braves. Yeah, Ronald Acuna, he signed a $100 million deal early before he really even popped. They done it with Michael Harris. They just did it with Austin Riley. Like, I love what the Braves are doing. I think the D-backs are following in that path of locking up these dudes who you think could be future superstars early in their careers before they break the bank down the line.
And look, I liked Moneyball, which was an Oscar-nominated film about 10 years ago.
Maybe one of my top 5.
I love that movie. And yeah, when the Rays do their thing, it's like, wow, I don't even know how they do it. But you know what? As a fan, seeing that revolving door of people, like, part of being a fan is getting attached to a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I know plenty of A's fans. I know many, many A's fans. And I know my share of Rays fans as well who love their team, but they do get a little crestfallen, like, oh, I liked him. I was hoping he'd stick around. Oh,
yeah.
I liked Olsen. Oh, wait, we lost Murphy? Okay.
No, because in the back of my mind as a D-backs fan, knowing Corbin Carrolls and the Drew Jones and the Jordan Lawlers are coming up, the back of my mind, I am thinking, are these guys going to hit their ceiling, look like future MVPs, and then walk in free agency? Is that going to be the ultimate destiny once all these guys are actually good at the same time and all hitting their stride? Are we only going to have 1 to 3 year window of all that before they all try to sign $25-30 million contracts in free agency? That was something that was always in the back of my mind as we saw this team grow and get better. But now, looking at the D-backs' new philosophy, it seems like we won't have to have those worries because of the Drew Jones and Jordan Lawlers flash enough early. It seems like the D-backs will probably lock them up as well. And that's what you want as a fan, right? You don't want these guys to hit their ceiling and then leave in free agency. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. So I'll rather pay these guys early, take the risk, take the gamble, because I still think you could trade a Corbin Carroll. Even if he's not as good as the number 2 prospect in all baseball, I still think someone would take the fastest player in baseball on a $15 million contract. So these guys are still assets, even if they aren't as good as maybe we make them out to be when they're, prospects.
Well, then eventually everything lines up and you win. And you know what you say when you win? You say, I want to thank the members of the Academy.
Uh,
I want to thank everyone at Universal and everything like that. You know what? I'd like to thank the members of the Academy. I'd like to thank Millard Thomas for being there this whole time. Thanks for collaborating with us. I want to thank my family. I want to, and of course, I want to thank the good people at LinkedIn Jobs
yeah.
and at Built Bar for making this possible. Millard Thomas, tell people where they can find you.
Follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account. Look up Locked On Diamondbacks on Twitter, Instagram for the podcast handle. We're approaching 400 subscribers on YouTube. So please hit subscribe on the Locked On Diamondbacks YouTube channel.
And follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And check out in a couple weeks, I'm working on, there's going to have the In Memoriam video from the Oscars tonight. I'm working on the baseball In Memoriam that I do every year. I've done every year since 2014. And man, we're adding more and more names to it. Jesus Alou of the Alou brothers, may he rest in peace. We lost him over the weekend. And the Alou brother, at one point, the Giants had Felipe, Jesus, and Matty Alou in the same outfield, the Alou brothers. And Matty wound up winning his World Series with the A's, and later Jesus won with the A's. And Felipe was the manager of the Montreal Expos the year that they pulled the rug from them in 1994 when they had the best team in the National League, probably the best team in baseball. And then the strike hit, and we never had baseball again. So baseball was never the same in Montreal after that. But rest in peace, Jesus Alou. And the Oscars are going to start very soon. I got to get my tux on. I'm going the red carpet. This has been Locked On MLB. We're recording this on the 12th day of March. Well, we'll probably drop it on the 12th day of March, 2023. I'm Sully. That's Millard Thomas. For your consideration, a fist pump.
Boom.